Have you ever wanted to play Doom on the Nintendo Entertainment System? How about Wolfenstein 3D?
Yeah!
Well, now you can, kind of. With the Game Boy to NES cartridge adapter, you can now play Game Boy games on the NES. This adapter showed up recently sometime near December 2025 on Chinese marketplaces such as AliExpress. It is quite pricey, around $72 as it contains actual real Game Boy hardware in the cartridge itself. There was a version of this adapter that was shown off in December 1990's Electronic Gaming Monthly, issue number 17, on page 29. In the magazine, it shows off a prototype made by Paul Biederman and his company Biederman Design Labs. The magazine also explains it may not be released as Nintendo probably would not approve it, as a third party would be modifying their hardware. It actually never did come out. There's a link in the description below for this article. It also seems another version was made by a company called RetroVision or retrousb. It looks like it was made around 2010-ish, according to a blog post. Game Boy Development's NES RetroVision, Game Boy on a NES cartridge. This one looks like it was potentially released, but I couldn't find an actual working link from RetroVision, but there is links in the description down below for the blog post. The one I have has an audio output that is a single detachable cord from the cart. It does one single monaural track or mono track, as the audio does not pass through the actual NES system itself, only the video does. It also works with flash carts, so you can play homebrew games on it. It will not, however, work with Game Boy Color games, as it acts like a real Game Boy, and will say the game pack will only work with Game Boy Color system. So how does it run? Now let's take a look at the actual Game Boy game, Pokemon Green, or Pocket Monsters Green version. The game runs flawlessly. Don't mind the visual scan line on the TV, it's just from the CRT being recorded. Okay, that's Pokemon. Now let's take a look at some homebrew games. This is Doom for the Game Boy, an unfinished fan port for the Game Boy by Villager JJ. So that was a fan port of Doom for the Game Boy by Villager JJ on itch.io or itch.io. There's a couple other fan games on there and fan ports from different games. One impressive one is actually Wolfenstein 3D for the Game Boy, and all of the links for these are in the video description down below. This port of Wolfenstein 3D for the Nintendo Game Boy by under 4 MHz on itch.io is a very impressive port. For some reason, I've always had a dream of playing Wolfenstein 3D on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and now I can. Now, this may be one of the worst ways to play Wolfenstein 3D, but it is an awesome experience. kind of a hard way to play the game as all the walls are the same color and it's hard to differentiate the corners, and also sometimes enemy sprites get stuck in between doors and can kill you easily. And as far as I know, the whole game is here, including all of the secrets. And this is a weird bug: when you go up to certain sprites, the actual HUD messes up at the bottom. Now this was the secret ending in the first level. There is a little outline for the secret walls that you can push, but they are kind of hard and difficult to navigate because they're all the same color. And while I was playing, I found you could actually swap to each weapon that you picked up like the real game, and there's also the knife that you can use. Well, that was the Game Boy to NES adapter cartridge for the Nintendo Entertainment System. There are links in this video description down below for the Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine and also some of the Homebrew games and some more information on this cartridge. And at some point I may do a full playthrough stream of Wolfenstein 3D for the Game Boy on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And I know at some point I will do a full playthrough of Resident Evil or Biohazard for the Nintendo Entertainment System. This was an actual remake of the full game by Waxing or Fuzhou Alien Computer Technology Company that was made in 2003 for the Chinese market. This was kind of the theme I did when I reshelled my NES. Anywho, comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.